Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Grow Wealthy Grooming. This is why pet grooming business owners can't afford to pay 50% commission. Hey, everyone, great to see you. And like I said, welcome to this episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. My name is River Lee, and I am the founder of The Savvy Groomer, where we teach groomers how to go from being burnt out, broken, to healthy, wealthy, and happy, building a grooming business on their terms. Now, today's episode is sponsored by the Employee Pay Masterclass. Now, this is a 6-module masterclass where we teach you all about paying your employees legally. The truth is, guys, paying 50% is bullshit. And here at The Savvy Groomer, we have cracked the code of paying employees a livable wage they're happy with and creating a sustainable profit for pet grooming business owners. We are introducing the Pay Masterclass, a 6-module exploration where you can legally pay your W-2 employees, and this is specifically designed for pet grooming business owners. We are busting myths here while teaching you the skills and a winning formula that you need to pay a structure that actually works. So guys, we are going to be teaching this a little bit differently today. If you guys want me to see your comments, go ahead and put in your URL chat.restream.io/Facebook. There you'll actually be able to let me see your comments. Now, just so you guys know, with this being a live Grow Wealthy Grooming, we haven't done this in a while. We are actually adding some goodies to those that are in the Savvy Groomer membership in our group mentoring. So those students will actually be able to have a Q&A session, a private Q&A session after we teach this content in this class. So you guys are more than welcome to ask questions. All those questions will be answered in the group mentoring. And if you're interested in joining group mentoring, you can do so at savvygroomer.com/group. I'll go ahead and put that right up on here. So if you want to sign up and be able to get that exclusive Q&A time after this, you're welcome to do that there. We'd love to have you. That's actually the wrong URL. My bad. This is why I can't type live, because boop, there we go. Fixed it. Done. savvygroomer.com/group. So anyway, let me go ahead and let's get into teaching today's topic, which, hang on, I know I got the graphic here. Why pet grooming business owners can't afford to pay 50% commission. So I know all of you guys have been told that 50% is totally normal, but the truth is that no industry can afford to pay 50% commission. I want you guys to imagine a world where cashiers receive 50% commission on the dozen eggs that they just bought. And I want you to think about how much more the egg epidemic would have cost, right? I have a crazy cat over there. Pray for him. So guys, we saw the price of eggs skyrocket, right? We saw them almost double, and employees of that business are paid hourly, right? So imagine if they had instead been paid per item sold. This would have made the price of eggs even more, since the price increase would have needed to account for that additional commission paid. Now, I understand that these are retail, so let's look at some other service-based examples, right? So I want to think about your plumber, your mechanic, your electrician, your housekeeper. If they were paid 50% of gross profit for their sales, that would be insane, right? When you have somebody who cleans your house, most of the time it's at a reasonable livable wage, right? They're getting hourly rate, right? And the business is probably charging about $100 an hour, and that person's probably getting about 25 to 30 bucks an hour. That seems like a pretty fair situation, right? Now, most of these are being paid an hourly rate, but they also might be paid what's called a flat rate or an hourly plus a small commission. And that's generally based on things like production bonuses. Okay. So generally jobs that pay straight commission are sales positions. They're real estate agents, they're insurance salesmen, they're talent agents, they're recruiters, right? Or things like pharmaceutical reps. And remember, they're not getting paid 50%. Your pharmaceutical rep is not getting 50% of whatever that person buys, right? the talent agent is not getting 50% of what the actor gets, right? Or the sports, agent, right? They're not getting 50%. I know I'm going to be like, Michael Jordan or, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not giving 50% of what he earns. He's not giving half of that to his sports rep, right? So they're going to get realistically between 3 and 15%. And if they're really top performers, they might get 20 or 25%. But again, it's still under that 30%. Okay. And I think that's incredibly important because for the most part, we're told in this industry, nope, you have to pay 50%. So why can't we pay 50% commission? Now, there's so many business expenses and metrics that must equal 100%. I'm going to go ahead and pull a slide from a class of the Employee Pay Masterclass. So here we're going to talk about our baseline metrics or our KPIs, which are called our key performance indicators. And this slide is actually from the Price Increase Masterclass Module 1, Lesson 5. And those of you guys that have taken the Price Increase Masterclass, you know that we talk about baselines and all these things, right? So in these metrics, we talk about general baseline metrics. And again, these are not perfect, they're not exact, but most people are paying an average of 20 to 25% to their taxes. They're paying an average of 10 to 30% to their overheads, their rent, their utilities, their consumables, their tools. And then hopefully you guys are paying yourself for simply owning the business and investing in yourself, right? At least 10 to 25%. Now, personally, right now, I am paying an average of 3.5% to my savings account. My savings account is giving me 3.5%. Just for having my money sit in a savings account. So if I'm not making at least 10% on a business I'm investing in, whether or not I work in it, then my money is better off in just a savings account. So that means that the total of 40 to 80% that the business is paying out before we even begin with our payroll. Okay. So if I were again to look at this, right? And again, let me see if I can. Tiffany, can you do me a favor? Can you pull me up? I need the slide with the 50% payroll slide. Can you get that for me, please? I know we're live and I know it's not always the easiest thing, but if you could get that for me, that would be great. So what happens a lot of times is that we end up having these metrics that are way too high, right? And again, the business metrics, also called KPIs, are going to, be a measurable value that show the progress of your company's business goals. Okay. So again, when we're looking at these KPIs, we need to look at how much our business is going to pay out to these different things. And I know they're not sexy, right? I know that it's not fun, it's not exciting, but it is a really important thing. Because what's going to happen in our business is that if we're not aware of what's being paid out, if we're not aware of where our money is going, very quickly we can end up in a situation where we're paying more money than we actually bring in. I'm going to actually this really awesome slide that I want to share with you. And I will shortly as soon as I get it. But, I hear, let's put that aside while I get that slide. Alan's saying they can, if they steal tips, ask my old boss. It's tough too, because there are definitely a lot of people that are just completely inappropriate in the business where they are definitely having situations where, they're not very good employees, for better or worse. Oh, I don't think you're bringing it in. You're good. I totally get it. It's sad though, but you're absolutely right. There are a lot of employees that just honestly are not the best people. And that's tough. So while we get the rest of our KPI slides, right, we're going to move on to another thing that I hear groomers say all the time. They say, I didn't get into grooming to be rich. I can't tell you how often I hear groomers tell me that. They're like, well, I didn't get into grooming to be rich. Okay, but you're in a business to make money, right? And you want to own a business and not a job, right? You don't own a charity. You don't own a hobby. You are in business to make money. Right. So maybe you didn't start grooming to quote unquote get rich, but you certainly didn't open a business to be poor. So if you do just want to have a hobby, that's fine, but losing money won't get you so far. And if you're going to invest in hire employees, you have an obligation to make sure that they are paid a livable wage, that your business operates in a way that they can work for that business long term. If this is just a hobby for you, it's just fun for you, then I would be really cautious doing that, because long term, are those people that are working for you actually going to continue to be able to work for you, right? And I want to just totally say, by the way, that if you want to donate your time, there are so many rescues that would absolutely love for you to do that. If you want to see grooming as a hobby, as a charity, you should do that, but you should not operate a business like a charity or like a hobby, right? I really suggest that you just go ahead and offer to go to those rescues and offer to give your time for free and sustain yourself that way, or have a grooming salon out of your home where you can then help the poor, help the needy, and all of that. Go ahead and do that. And you don't need the headache or the heartache or the expenses of having those employees. You deserve to make money for owning a business. And otherwise, you just have a job that you could work for somebody else and have a lot less headaches of running a business. Okay. There are so many situations where you're going to be running a business, and for better for worse, you're going to lose money. And when you have an employee and you have all the headaches and all the problems, right? Alan saying, if you want 50%, go independent. Absolutely. Tiffany, it's in the price increase masterclass. That slide I want. It's in the price increase masterclass. And it should be in module 1, lesson 5. Should be about there. Okay. Should be right around there. Probably slide 55 to 60, realistically about there. I made 88K last year. Is that good? Well, it depends, right? When you make 88K, if you live in a place where rent's $3,000 a month, 88K is not so good. If you live in a place where you can comfortably live on, again, if you want to live on 25% of our income, that depends, right? And again, is that net or gross? So it all depends on a bunch of different things. But with that, with these KPIs, with these different 50%, it comes down to, where is that money going to go? Right. And again, I know, poor Tiffany, I put her on the spot. I'm like, oh, I really want this slide. And she's like, yeah, I don't know where it is. So I'm going to go try to find it. I know. That's how you know it's live, guys. That's why I'm liking recording things, because when I record it, then I know exactly where it is. And I have exactly what I want, and I can just pause it and not have to worry. Da, 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 da. It's funny too, because I put everything into folders thinking like, oh, I'll find everything so quickly and so easily. And I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like whenever I have things, I never know where they are. Just is what it is. I don't know, poor Tiffany. She does her best. All right, I found it. Tiffany, did you upload it, girlie? Oh, perfect. It's in module 2. My bad. See? Actually, I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to just slide this over here instead of trying to. Poor Tiffany's trying to. I'm just going to pull up the module and share screen really quick with everybody here. Don't worry about it, Tiffany. I'm going to just share screen. Oh, God. All right, here we go. So guys, this is an example of that. It's going to be a little bit hard to see. Let me see if I can present. Make that bigger. It might be a little bit hard for you guys. There we go. Now you can see it. So again, let's use the example of our baseline metrics, our KPIs. We have our taxes at 20%, our overhead at 10 to 30%, our owner draw again at 10 to 25%, and then our payroll, right, and our debt at 20 to 60%. Now, on the low end, that's 60%. On the high end, it's 140%. So if we have our payroll here on the right at 60%, right, then our taxes, let's say, are 20%, our overhead is 20%, we want to pay ourselves at least 10%, and our debt is 20%. Well, then when we switch to the next slide, I can, right? So we've got our 60% payroll here. We've got our taxes at 20, our overhead at 20, our owner draw, and then our debt. That's 130%, guys. Right? Because all of our other metrics here equal 70%. And some of you guys are like, oh my God, yeah, but my taxes aren't 20% of my gross or 20% of my net. It's like, yeah, kind of, but I always teach you guys to put 20 to 25% away to taxes of your entire gross profit, right? And so in this example, right, your overhead at 20%, which is totally reasonable, getting that 10%, right? Getting that 10% of owner's draw. Again, if I can put money into a savings account and make 3.5%, I better be making 10% just for owning the business, right? For doing all the work I do. And in this example, right, if I paid my employees 60%, that's 130%. That means I'm losing 30%, right? And you're like, okay, well, take out the owner's draw. Okay, well, I'm still 20%. I'm losing. Okay, well, what if I have no debt? So if I have no debt, I don't get any money for owning the business. So then I just break even if nothing goes wrong and I have no savings and I have no investment. That sounds like a terrible plan. You're like, okay, well, what about 50%, right? So let's do the math again. I've got that 50%. Again, our taxes at 20%, our overhead at 20, our owner's draw at 10. And again, I'm going to assume you have some debt. And if it's not 20% into debt, it's 20% into savings, right? I'm still at 120%. So when I pay off all my debt, I'm going to get 10% as an owner's draw, which is okay, but I have no money to be saving money. I have no way to be reinvesting into the business, and I can't add any more employees because I can't add a receptionist. I can't add a VA, right? I can't add anything. I can't offer any benefits, right? Because I'm at 120%. So at that point, it's just not worth it. Yeah, my kitty cat in the back is being a little crazy. He's so cute, though. I love him. So again, what's the point there, right? Why would you even bother owning a business if you're going to either break even at best, right? If I'm going to be breaking even at best, right? So it doesn't work. So what does work? What does work is doing an hourly pay plus production. And it's not easy, guys. I've been talking to my students who've taken my first round of employee pay, and they were telling me, you know what? Probably about 90% of the industry is misclassified. There are so many things that we don't talk about in this industry. Alan saying this problem is why I don't have employees, magnified by the fact that I live in California, where all the lease spaces are 2 or 3 times the price of what it should be. Absolutely. And this is where, again, if you're, even if you don't have employees, you should still be structuring your business. That way you can pay yourself as an employee. In case of something happens and you need to outsource to someone. I know personally, I got very, very sick and I had to have someone take over my business for several months. And because I had paid myself the way I would have paid an employee, I was able to take that money and give it to an employee, and it really didn't disrupt my business all that much. And if I had been paying myself, again, let's say at 50 to 60%, I wouldn't know how much to pay someone. I wouldn't know if that was a livable wage. I wouldn't have known a lot of things that may or may not have helped me grow that business in a way that made sense. And again, it's easier to do it when the business is normal and it's healthy versus when you need to make that decision immediately. So I think everyone is entitled to what they want to do long term, but there's no simple way of doing it. Okay. And so there's so many concerns when people are like, okay, but how do I convince employees to take hourly? And again, we actually have this quarter, we're going to be doing 3 classes in the group mentoring, which is the Savvy Groomer membership. We are going to be doing the pricing and points class. We are going to be doing the employee pay masterclass. And then we're also going to be teaching a brand new workshop called Commission to Hourly, where we're actually going to teach you guys how to switch your commissioned employees to hourly. And it's really important because, again, a lot of you guys are finding as rents are going up that you don't have any wiggle room. So what do you recommend for hourly? I highly suggest that you create a roles and tiers style business model for hourly. And the hourly is based upon how much I expect of that employee. And again, there's so many different options and ways of doing that. So, every business is different. I think a lot of times we're like, okay, can you give me the magic number? Well, no. Same as if you ask me how much I charge for a Shih Tzu. I'm like, well, it depends, right? I do think a good basic number for a Shih Tzu is about $100, but for some of us, that's really, really high. And for some of us, really, really low. So hourly must be based upon the production I expect of that employee. And again, we teach you guys to use that production based upon the point system or our GPS system, the Savvy Groomer point system. For instance, if I expect a groomer to be grooming 5 small dogs a day, which each small dog is worth 2 points, that's 10 points. If I expect that person to be grooming 5 small dogs a day, their hourly wage will be based upon the amount of production that I expect of them averaged over that day, that week, that month. And then beyond that, I would do a production bonus. And that production bonus is really dependent upon my business model. Am I more interested in my production bonus being based upon incidents that have happened? So for instance, some of you guys care the most about reviews. And so maybe you're going to say, okay, for every positive review that mentions your name, you're going to get this big bonus. Or if you say, for instance, things like, we really care about safety. Okay, well, maybe your production bonuses are based upon not having any grooming incidences where a pet is injured, right? And again, you might be like, well, we take that for granted. But again, having those bonuses, saying, listen, every quarter that we don't have any pets get injured or hurt, cut, insert thing, we're going to give a bonus. So in the Pay Masterclass, we actually teach you guys how to break down how to pay those people. And again, we do that based on roles and tiers. For example, if you have grooming assistant, and then a groomer, okay, well, is that groomer expected to groom 5 dogs in 8 hours? Or are you expecting them to do 10 dogs in 8 hours? Are you going to consistently give them those dogs, right? And so in the Pay Masterclass, we really break down how you're going to do that in a way that's effective and how to stop people from, quote unquote, taking advantage of your hourly rate. I hear that all the time where you guys are saying things along the lines of, well, if I pay them hourly, they're not going to work. And let's be honest here, is that commission doesn't work. And there's so many things about commission that don't work. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to hop into the group mentoring. We're going to hop in, do a private Q&A in our private group. And then we will see you guys live next week to teach you next week's class. And I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to being able to come live. And we promise to have our slides ready for next week. And, it's been a while since we've been live. I've been taking for granted being able to have everything at my fingertips. But guys, thank you so much for coming here live, where we talked about really quickly why pet grooming business owners can't afford to pay 50%. As you see, most of you guys, if you are paying your taxes, if you have your overhead, if you either have debt or savings, if you're paying your employees 50%, if you're paying them 60%, and you're giving yourself a 10% owner's draw, you're probably in the negative. You're either in the negative, you don't have savings, or worse, right? Or worse, you're just losing, or you're grooming for free in order to offset that. So like I said, we're going to go hop into our paid group, our Savvy Pet Pros. I'm sorry, not Savvy Pet Pros. I'm so sorry, guys. We're going to go into the Savvy Groomer group mentoring, which is the Savvy Groomer membership. And we're going to give them the opportunity to ask in the private Q&A. And they will be here next week at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And as always, guys, happy grooming.